I'm going to talk directly into her microphone just in case.
Hi.
Yeah, we'll talk very closely.
Hi.
Let them take me as far as they want to go. And it's time for me to say, they won't break me, I'm braver than I know. I was made for this. Oh, such a time as this.
Oh, man. We don't ever really grow up, do we? We just
No.
get older. Like, that's
That's why
what
we
is.
can talk about
I know.
this age group, because
Yeah.
I still remember that mindset. I still
I do
remember
too.
how I saw the world.
Mm-hmm.
And while you may grow and mature, I think most of us don't forget those phases. Like, if you really stop to think about it, you can remember. Like, for me, being out here, I'm looking around and I remember all those summer nights
Mm-hmm.
when we would wait for all the families to clear out. The kids are all out here camping after graduation
Yes.
or whatever. Everybody's got their car, and it's literally just a car cruise. It's
I love
just
that.
a big social music going,
Yep.
cars driving. Oh my goodness. It was good fun. Good fun. And I'm like, kids, get your cars and just cruise. And they aren't doing that. They're doing other fun things, but
They do. Yeah.
but it's just that connection. You can remember that.
My most vivid memories in my life start at 13. Like
Yes.
so I can remember prior to that, and it's like bits and pieces, and I kind of, I remember different things. But 13, like late 13, almost 14,
Yes.
is when I can remember all of that. Like I can put myself right back there, and I can remember that, and I can remember staying in my bedroom when I was a teenager. I can
Yes.
remember what it looked like. I can remember what I had on the
Same.
wall, and I mean, I remember
Interesting.
transferring from. I loved cats. I was allergic to them, which was
Oh.
very funny. So we never had a cat. So instead of having a cat, I had cats all over my wallpaper when I was growing up. And then I remember
it's
that.
cute, but it's sad.
Oh, it's so
like I
sad.
can't
Like my
have a
mom was
real one,
allergic.
so-
I was allergic. I was like, I love cats, but I can't have one.
Oh.
And so, yeah. And I remember distinctly the moment where I was like, I don't love cats anymore. I now want to do teenage things. And I ripped all my wallpaper down, and my parents were like, there are proper ways of doing this. So you know what they did?
Oh,
They
no.
put paneling up in my bedroom instead, because I had made such a mess out of my walls that they were like, we're not even going to try to fix this. And they literally just nailed paneling to the wall. That was my punishment.
Sorry, John and Sue.
Yeah, I caused a lot of that stuff, but yeah. But so I feel like that's why I can relate to teens as well as I can, because first of all, I feel like I never really grew out of that stage, and second, I can remember it.
Yes,
Yeah.
easily. And it's remarkable to me, because I'm like, when did I get old? Because this seems like
Right?
yesterday.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, but they look at us like we're old.
I know. And
Yes.
the funny thing is they have no idea. They probably have a perception of us like we think old, we act
Right.
old. Old people just do old people things. It's like,
No,
no,
they
no,
don't.
in
They don't
the
know what
mindset,
happens.
everything- no, you
They don't
just
know where the
don't even
evenings take
know.
us sometimes.
I-
So.
They're just going to their friend's house to play cards. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I
yeah.
love when I stay up past like 10 and my kids are like, what are you still doing awake? And I'm like,
you-
I like my sleep. It has nothing to do with my age. I've always loved my sleep.
Oh,
They're like, you're so old. And I'm like, no, I just really, really like to go to bed. I like my bed. I like to sleep.
I know.
Yep.
I need to do better at that, but
So teens,
yes.
one of the things for me with teenagers was fighting them for their bedtimes. Like, oh my gosh, I remember when they were kind of making that transition from like 12 to 13, 14, and I would try to get them to go to bed on time, whatever that meant, right? And they were like, but I'm not tired, but I'm not tired, but I'm not tired. And it took me a long time to really just understand that they really aren't tired. Like the entire schedule of how modern day life is stupid. It's backwards. It's stupid. So
agree.
teenagers have to get up at the ass crack of dawn and go to school, and none of them are awake until like 10 o'clock, and then their brains start to turn on, and then by noon, like they've eaten again, and so they're getting there. So afternoon class is a little bit, I think they pick up on more.
Yeah.
And then they come home, and then their lives, their energy starts at like dinner time or a little after.
Just ready to go.
Yes, but and it's a natural thing. They don't try to do that. That is just naturally how their brains are programmed.
Yeah.
And it goes completely opposite to exactly how they have to try to function. And then we get all upset with our teenagers. Why can't you be awake and paying attention in school? And I just think it's dumb. I think it's
agree.
so dumb. I think they need to move school backwards.
Needs to start later.
The young kids are up at 6 o'clock.
It's
have the
insane.
elementary school students
is
start at 7 and have the high school
absolutely
students start at 9.
Insane. And school starts earlier than it did when I was going to school. They've changed it, and it's to accommodate adult working schedules.
Yeah.
So now we have our littles living an adult schedule, and they're not wired for that.
No.
And what do you do with that? That's a whole nother thing, because that's
Right.
the younger ones. We're on the teens, but now here we are. You've got your kids. You got through that. You figured it out, and now you're like, oh, good, the teenagers are in the house now.
Yeah.
And
But
I think it starts that next independence phase. I think
Right.
they go through those phases where you're like, okay, they're ready for this much.
Yep.
Well, now you enter this one. And that can be a little scary and intimidating for some parents, because let's face it, teenagers can be impulsive or really need assistance with making good decisions. And
Right.
there's a lot of things to worry about in the world.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's one thing. So one thing that I would like to maybe read what one of the comments on our
Yes.
Facebook
Yes.
page was, because I really loved, I don't know if this is a good segue time for that or not, but where am I with my phone? Okay, here I am. Nope. Yep.
Yes.
How many pictures have I taken since I screenshotted this on the way here? But the thing that I wanted to start with was, this was our comment. So thank you, Richard, for giving us this comment.
A guy.
A guy, I know.
Oh,
I love
high
it.
five, a
I
guy
know.
comment.
I love it. It's so good.
Thank you, Richard.
So he says he wants kids or teens to understand how to let them know that being stressed and overwhelmed and scared is normal, and even mom and dad have moments. That he feels like that if kids grow up knowing that it's a real thing, like being stressed and
Right.
scared and things like that, that they will be better at handling it when they grow up than they are, than we were,
Yes.
because nobody talked about it when we were growing up.
Great
So,
question.
yeah, thank you, Richard, for sending that in, because I think that's a great place to start.
Yes.
Is, and again, I think this is a huge concept that we're bringing down to just this right here, but I feel like it applies to other things, because our teenagers do not look at us like we are human beings. They don't. We are their parents. We're in a whole different, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're in
they
a different
don't-
category. They don't see us as
don't
real people.
identify.
Exactly. Like, you guys don't understand. You don't know what it's like. You don't know all these different things. However, the more real you can be with your
Yes.
kids, the more honest, the more open, not about their stuff,
Yes.
but about your
own.
stuff. Like, don't hide it. I mean,
Right.
I grew up, I never knew if my parents were happy or sad or upset or emotional or anything. I never saw any of that.
It's
I
very
didn't,
flat.
yeah, it was just like vanilla all the time. Like, it was just vanilla. It was very like, just, this is life,
it's-
because behind closed doors, then they would have the discussions and they would handle the things and all of that. And I didn't know.
So, and mine was very vanilla with all of a sudden an extra hot ghost pepper salsa.
Whew.
And I think that just in me as a child, I learned to just like fear. When is
Right.
that going to come? And my first reaction was just to hide and get away and scurry away. And still to this day, that's my reaction. And but I never knew, well, why, what caused that? Because wasn't everything
Right.
fine? Because it was expected to look fine. But culturally, that was kind of the norm for a lot of people then. You always look fine. You want people to look at our family.
Oh yeah, you fight on the way to church, and then you walk in the door, and you're like, "Hi, we're great. We're
Look
doing
at us
perfect."
side by side, and we just.
And then
love
you
each
pick up the
other.
argument as soon as you get back in the car on the way home.
I know. Oh,
Yeah.
I know. And what a disservice to not really model for our kids how to handle this hard stuff that comes. Because,
Right.
believe it or not, I deal with that on the regular basis.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yep. So things like if you, and this just popped in my head, but I had a couple cancer scares over the past couple of years, and we didn't tell the kids right away because like, why do that first off, you know? But as it was progressing and it was looking a little bit more like we were going to the different tests and all those things, we did share it with the kids, and because I needed them to understand why I wasn't fully there. I wasn't fully present. I had a different kind of air about me because I had that kind of like looming in the back of my mind all the time. And so we talked to them about it, and we were just very honest with them. We said, you know, we don't know any answers yet,
Right.
you know, but this is a possibility. And then we could have an open, honest conversation, and I could say to them, yeah, I'm scared, you know, I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't know where this is going to lead, you know, but they could see me go through it. They could see me process it and all of that. And I'm not saying bring up every single thing that you're afraid of. There has to be a balance, you know.
Sure, but just generally speaking, just make it the house norm that things are talked about.
Right.
You know, hey, you know what, kids? I'm having a tough day.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't even know for sure why, and you can explain that. It can be hormone. I mean, there's so many things that it could be. But just say it, like, and normalize the fact. Then they know, for whatever reason, and then their behavior around you or towards you could reflect because you respect each other enough to say,
yes,
they're just having a rough go of it right now, and teach them to be supportive.
And then they also don't think that it's something that they did.
For sure.
Because why is mommy and why are they angry? It must be something I did. For some reason, that is a natural child's response to any kind of arguments or fighting or anything. We've always tried to be like vocal about that, like that we're having this, you know, conversation, we're having this argument, it's not about you guys, you know, things like that, which is not an easy thing to do in the middle of the and we don't get it right ever. Like I always am like, this is what we do, and I'm like, no, like, yeah, we get it right sometimes. And so I talk about the times that we get it right, but then I'm not going to be the one that's like, oh, I'm all high and mighty, and you know, we do everything all right and all perfect, and, you know, no.
So we are going to be the last people that are going to come on this podcast and ever say, just follow our advice, because
I don't even think we would make it through trying to hold a straight face.
we come to you.
We are the experts.
We have really screwed it up. So.
Right. But modeling how to process something when you're scared about it, or processing how you're stressed about it, modeling all of that for your kids shows them that it's okay for them to be scared, and it's okay for them to. So I always see, like, so most of the time it's one person in the household dealing with it, right? And so what we try to do, again, we don't get it right, is like, we have to focus all our attention on this person right now. Right. You know, it's not that the rest of us don't have stuff going on, but like this one needs us the most right now.
Special hurts going on,
and that's how we communicate it. Like, hey, your brothers really need you right now, or your sister really needs you right now, or dad really, you know, like, so and then we come around as the five of us, and it's like, that's how we handle that person at the, you know. And I'll say things to my kids like, I need a hug right now. Like, right now, stop what you're doing. I need a tight hug, you know, or whatever. And then they'll say the same thing to me. Like, the boys have come up at different times, and Addison, of course, like, she just kind of comes on my lap.
It's just beautiful.
But it's there. Like, we've just kind of opened that up.
You have taught them empathy because you've modeled what that looks like.
We've tried.
That is a trait that I value in people. At the same time, though, sometimes it can be too much if you're kind of overboard like me. But
I feel like moms are naturally empaths to their children, and it's hard to not absorb their feelings.
Oh.
Do you agree with that?
I feel it.
Yeah.
I'd give anything in the world if it could be mine. And I don't know if it's like I need to feel it because I can't take it. So I need to suffer too, though, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that, like, so teens go up and down like a roller coaster, right? And so they're like super happy with you, and then they're super upset, and
Yes.
most of the time they don't know why they've made a sharp left turn, you know.
Oh, for sure.
But for me, like, I have to intentionally not absorb that energy, you know, and sometimes I can't help it, and I bring it on, you know what I mean? But it is so hard to not ride the wave with them and jump on all of that.
Because it's contagious.
It is contagious.
You know, bad energy is contagious.
And teens are very strong. They don't realize how powerful their emotions are in the household, especially when you have one that's a teen and then some that are not.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it feels like every conversation, it feels like every single parenting thing is going to their, like, to energy to parent them at the moment, kind of almost like a newborn baby, you know, but like the other direction.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I know for a fact, like, we've talked about this as adults with me and my brothers, that I don't even know who parented them when I was a teen, because I took up all of my mom's attention all the time, being rebellious and awful and moody, and like they just developed a love for Legos and like things like, you know, but they're 4 and 12 years younger than me too, so it wasn't like none of us went through the teen stage at the same time.
Got it.
None of us were even close to that.
Right.
I mean, I was 12 when my brother was born, so it was, you know, I was almost a teenager already. And then
it'd like be with me and my youngest sister.
Yeah.
So
Yep. But yeah, so, and I've been reading a lot, and you guys have been posting it to the Facebook page, to the, you know, our just different things that I'm reading and I come across. And so much of it is being there without hovering, being there without doing it for them, or, you know, kind of just being there as a coach.
Safety net.
As a safety net. I heard a new concept in something I read, and it's called a lawnmower parent. So we've talked about helicopter parents, right? Well, yes. I mean, no, that is the concept. Like, so instead of letting your teenagers or college age or whatever go in and do the things that they need to do, you go in and take care of it, right? So say they're at college and they're signing up for a class, and you go in and you do all the talking and say they need to either drop a class or they need to have a class, or that you handle everything. Like you, and I was like, oh, I'm like, that is a concept, like, right, and it is, and it's like, oh, okay, you don't trust them, and that's what it was saying, is that you don't trust them to do the things.
Think them capable.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I think that I could have done that differently with my oldest son's high school stuff. There was a lot of things that I feel like I jumped on that lawnmower, and it was like one of those big ones that has like the 3 propeller things, and I was like, I got you, and just like handled
real fast.
Yeah. And then
Turn on a dime.
And in contrast, my middle son, like, we always asked them to give us the green light, is how we called it. You handle stuff at school, and we will stay out of it until you give us the green light, and then we'll go in, right? So you know, and that works really, really well, that kind of communication. Yeah. And there have been times where they will come home and they will literally high five us, and they're like, you're tapped in, we're giving you the green light, and then we've gone and handled it, right? But I think I did too much of that with my oldest.
Oh, where it becomes a crutch?
Yes. And then with my other two, and they have both kind of been like, no, I'm good. So we had like one meeting with the principal this year rather than multiple. And they behaved the same. The boys were very similar. It was very similar things. It was just
so interesting.
It was just I lawn mowed like too much with my first one.
So
but again,
those first ones though, man, it's hard.
So hard.
It is so to all you firstborn from the mom, we're sorry. I mean, you were the practice one. I mean, we didn't know.
No.
And we had to learn,
and we also toughen up. Like as teens go, after you've raised one, you're like, I got this. I got this. Kind of like giving birth. Once you've given birth once, you're like, I got this.
Okay,
I'm good.
Now I know what I'm in for.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time it's an unknown.
It is.
And we do the best that we can, and then hopefully take the good and shake off some of the not as good.
Yeah.
But try to remember that your parents are coming. from a place of love, or typically are coming from a place of love in their world. They're parenting the way they probably were
Right.
shown parenting is, or
Yes.
I don't know.
So a lot of the comments on the videos have been from teens and young adults saying that, oh, I wish I could talk to my parents like that. I wish that my parents were like this. Oh, I wish so many of them said, I wish my parents loved me like you guys love your kids. And it just breaks my heart, because I'm like, wait a minute, there can't be this many teens that are not feeling loved. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but they don't. And that was the thing that just broke my heart.
I'm so sad hearing that.
Right. And so I have responded to as many as I can. There's been so many comments, but just telling them that they are loved, and also saying, but have you tried to talk to your parents? Kind of like the concept of when they're drinking and then you go pick them up, and we had that whole conversation, right?
Yep.
Well, you have to be able to talk about that, not in the moment. But you know what I'm saying? So they're like, oh, I could never tell them that. And I'm like, okay, then set a time and say to them, can we have an open conversation about some things, you know, which is terrifying as a teenager to go and talk to your parents about, right?
Because you're trusting them.
But if you want it to change and they are oblivious to it, and that's why I'm saying it that way, they are oblivious to that this is a problem.
Right. They probably think, well, other parents have the same problems, and this is just how it is, and this is how we do it.
Yep.
So they may need your help.
Right. Just coach them on it. And even, I mean, show them the podcast, bring up the thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways to do it.
We can talk to them for you.
And the worst thing that could happen is that they say no. But the best thing that could happen is that you have opened up the line of communication.
Yes.
You are able to talk to them about things. And I mean, like, talking to my mom now, right? She's like, well, I would have loved to talk to you about that stuff. And I'm like, but I didn't know that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I also never tried.
Exactly.
So whose fault is it really? It's 50-50. I never tried. She never offered. So I can't be like, oh, I totally blame my mom for everything, because I can't. That's also on me.
I didn't hold up my end of the street. We just didn't talk.
Right.
There was no communication in my home growing up.
Yeah.
And with either of my parents, we never had a conversation about anything that just really mattered.
Yeah. Like substance.
Or like you were saying, like the emotion thing and just that normal stuff. And so then you're going through this crazy time of life, and you know, things are changing, and you're getting older, and hormones and relationships and school and then college decisions, and you really need your parents.
I'm sorry, I'm totally distracted by the Jeeps. They're like running each other over. Anyways.
But yeah, they need their parents.
Yes.
They really, really do. And they need to know that what they're trying to say matters. That they're worth sitting down and listening to. You know, and having that conversation and being open with them in the hopes that they in turn will say, they trusted me with that.
Right.
I can trust them with something that I just, Oh.
And it all goes back to teens are not bad.
No.
Like, teens are not bad. And I think so many times parents go into their teen parenting years assuming that their children are going to mess up, assuming their children are going to lie, assuming their teens are going to, you know, choose all these horrible behaviors, and then they're going to be a reflection of the family that is not okay with their standards or whatever. And I feel like that's a big fear for parents, like, oh my gosh, they're going to bring shame to us, they're going to, you know, our family's going to look like we don't have it all together, you know, and all of that, the appearance thing. And I'm thinking, okay, so what is more important, your family's appearance or the mental health of your teenager?
Child.
Like, what is more important? And yourself.
Because if you're modeling that fake way of living, your mental health isn't well.
No.
And I've just come to that conclusion.
I love that so much.
Oh, man.
We'll just pop a clip of that in there so they can see what we're looking at, too.
This is gonna look great on Instagram, bro.
White kids with too much money.
Fantastic. We're gonna get so many likes.